porn isn't your biggest problem. It's actually your refusal to feel and to fail and to grow that's holding you back. If you don't know me, my name is Krishna, and I help young men quit their porn addictions. The biggest problem is not that you watch porn. The biggest problem for you, most likely, is that you're using porn to get away from something, and that's why you watch it so much. I remember for me, if I zoom in on a microscope and I take a look at the times I was most addicted to porn in my life, when were they? What was I doing? What was my environment like back then? Well, there was a lot of abuse, there was a lot of trauma, there was a lot of stress in the household. And that's when I was watching porn maybe 2-3 times a day. Why? Why all of a sudden going from that environment to eventually a couple months later, I had to go to India, family stuff. And I stayed in India for over a month, almost 2 months. And during those 2 months, I did not relapse a single time. Not once. Why? Why did that happen? Actually, now that I remember, I think I only relapsed one time. One time over a 2-month period. How did this happen? Well, because I wasn't in the same environment that led me to watch it, or to jerk off 3 times a day. I didn't have anything to avoid. Now, when I came back, obviously the pattern changed. And all of a sudden I fell back into my old ways. I started watching it again multiple times a day. And it was only when I realized that porn was a way for me to avoid the discomfort that I was feeling. It was only when I realized that I was actually able to make real progress. You watch porn because you refuse to deal with discomfort. When discomfort hits you, when you feel stress, when you feel lonely, when you feel bored, you don't know how to sit with any of that. I think that's a skill that is lost in our modern world, which is that we can't sit with our feelings, we can't sit with our discomfort. What do? We numb ourselves instead. We go onto social media, we load up Netflix, we watch hyper-stimulating videos on the internet, we watch porn. These are ways in which we can cope with the emotions that we're feeling because we don't know how to cope with them. Learning how to sit with discomfort, learning that, yes, you can feel bored, you can feel stressed, and not watch anything and not numb yourself because of it, I think is actually a meta skill. Do you refuse to feel discomfort? The interesting thing is that you also refuse to live up to your full potential. There's this great quote by, I can't exactly remember who it's by, but she says, our biggest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our biggest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. What does that mean? Actually, if we go deep, deep down, our greatest fear is that we actually can be better. We actually can quit porn. We actually can achieve the things that we want to achieve. But we're afraid of that. Why? Because that requires us to basically kill the version of ourselves now. It requires us to step out into discomfort. It requires us to give up all of our excuses. It requires us to actually try and fail, which a lot of people are afraid of. Right? The interesting thing is that like a lot of people, they have a sort of like superiority complex where they don't want to accept that when they first start at something, they're gonna suck. And that's okay. When you first start trying to quit porn, you're gonna relapse numerous times. Now, should you actively try and keep relapsing? No, of course not. We want to reduce the amount of times that we relapse. But it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen eventually. And so we're afraid of that. We're afraid of trying. We're afraid of getting rid of all of our excuses. We're afraid of seeing who we could become. And so we just stay where we are right now. We stay in the comfortable place that we've built for ourselves. And so when you finally find something like a purpose that is bigger than you, all of a sudden you don't need porn anymore. porn fails, it drops. And so, again, the quote by Viktor Frankl, who wrote Man's Search for Meaning, great quote, says that when a man can't find a sense of meaning, he distracts himself with pleasure. And so part of that is you refusing to take full responsibility, right? Because the victim mindset, the mindset of, oh, I'm trying to quit, oh, I struggle with this problem, it keeps the loop alive. It keeps the problem going. It keeps it going, right? When I stopped trying to quit and instead started to try and become the person who doesn't need to watch porn anymore, the interesting thing is that all of a sudden, instead of going from day 2, day 3, and then relapsing again, all of a sudden I was able to get to 2 weeks, 3 weeks, months, right? Because I didn't just say to myself, oh, I'm trying to quit, and then change nothing about my life, right? This is a common thing that a lot of guys do. It's like they want to quit porn, they want to stop relapsing, but they don't actively change their lifestyle. They don't actively change their habits or their identity. They're still the same person at the end of the day, right? They're still the exact same guy. All they do is they just have like a little voice inside their head that's like, oh, why did you do this? Every single time that they relapse, they feel like a shame, a sense of shame, right? They feel like there's a voice like berating them. It's like, why did you do this? You suck. Like, how could you do this? It's like, you messed up. You shouldn't do this. Like, you said you would do that. You know what I mean? They just have that, but they don't change their lifestyle and they don't change their identity either. And so basically at the end of the day, it's just a combination of those 3 things, right? The refusal to feel, the refusal to actually sit with discomfort, the refusal to take full responsibility for the person that you want to become, and the refusal to actually like build the life that you want. We refuse to do these things because we are afraid of boredom, we are afraid of stress, we are afraid of failure, and really, we're afraid of trying. That's really all that it comes down to. We're afraid of these things. How can we improve on this? Well, the actionable step that I would give you is to take out a piece of paper and write down a sentence. And I want you to fill in the blank here. I use porn to avoid whatever. And then try and do the opposite, right? So for example, a sentence could be, I use porn to avoid boredom. Well, instead of using porn to avoid boredom, maybe take your phone or your computer, put it in a different room, put it in your dresser drawer, lock it away, and then change your environment. Maybe go outside for a walk, maybe go somewhere different in your house, and just be bored. I know that sounds like weird or crazy or whatever, but you can just be bored. If you feel stressed, for example, maybe instead of trying to like find another video to watch, to jerk off, to relieve that stress, maybe you can just feel the stress for a little bit. I think this is an important lesson for a lot of people, which is that like you can feel things, but that doesn't mean you need to act on them, right? And I think that part of like emotional maturity, I'm not saying that I have emotional maturity, but I do think that part of emotional maturity is understanding that what you feel and what you do can be different things, and they have to be different things. Because if we only did what we felt, especially in the modern day, we wouldn't get anywhere. If you're serious about learning how to actually quit porn, and you've tried all the methods before, you've tried, taking the cold showers and doing the push-ups and doing whatever it is that you've seen all these videos on the internet, and none of these work for you at all, I have a completely free framework that you can download on just how to stop relapsing. It's a framework that you can use in real time to help you prevent your next relapse. And so if you want that, then you can go and you can click the link in the description down below. The first link in the description is completely free if you want to download it. Take care, bro.